Hey guys, I'm Rich. Welcome to Rich with Cars. Today's episode, I'm going to be going over a car that I've been wanting to review and drive for such a long time. Behind me, I have the Toyota GR Corolla. And this has received so much great feedback from a lot of different reviewers and testers. And I finally got my chance to get behind the wheel and show you guys a little bit around the car. The one behind me specifically is a Toyota GR Corolla Circuit Edition. And as always, I'm going to give you guys an exterior, interior, cargo, engine, and driving impression. So guys, strap in and let's take a look. So getting right into it, the GR Corolla has a few notable differences when you're taking a look at the exterior design. And of course, they're extremely noticeable. The first thing being, as you guys can see, you got a massive grille here in the front that is used to take in all the air for that small, tiny 1.6 liter 3-cylinder engine that pushes 300 horsepower. Then of course you have these massive flares on the fenders. You got a bulge on the hood. And the Circuit Edition also brings you these vents that are functional on the hood. You got these wheels, and the Circuit Edition behind these wheels will bring you a colored red caliper that clamp down on those brakes. And then this specific one, the owner decided to put a little personalization on the wheel, which is really cool. A little stripe on one of the spokes, which gives you a sort of very different look. You got some GR badging there on the side alongside with a vent, which seems to be functional to help relieve some of the pressure under the front wheel well. And then of course you have blacked out side view mirrors, and the coolest thing of all is on the Circuit Edition alongside with the Morizo, you have this amazing carbon fiber roof. And it's not any regular carbon fiber, it's actually forged carbon fiber. In fact, the owner was telling me that because of the finish on this forged carbon fiber, they don't allow you, or they recommend for you not to put any ceramic coating or PPF on top. So you're basically stuck to an unprotected forged carbon fiber roof. Or you could potentially also do some additional clear coating on the top, but it doesn't seem like you have the regular clear coat because it seems like it's a satin finish. Maybe some of you guys can tell me in the comments below what you can potentially do to protect the gorgeous forged carbon fiber roof. You still have these amazing 18-inch multi-spoke rims in the rear that are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's with a 235/40/18 size in the rear. Also want to mention that you have GR4 badging here on the side skirt as well, which is really cool. GR Gazoo Racing, that's what it stands for, GR, and then 4 because it's basically 4-wheel drive. You got different ways that you can split the torque between the front and the back, but I'll talk about that a bit later on. One little thing that I'm not too crazy about is on the rear fender flare, they basically added on this little piece to the door to match the rest of the flare on the fender. Now the other thing also that comes with the Circuit Edition is this rear spoiler, super cool and very aero inspired. And you can see you got some air ducts that go under the spoiler over there. Similar to, believe it or not, to the Ford Focus RS. That's another hot hatch that I really loved quite a bit. The rear over here is fat. I just love it. I mean, look how wide it is over here. It's incredible. The rear bumper has that added touch for the fender flares as well. And then the coolest thing of all on the GR Corolla are these 3 exhausts, which are all 3 are functional. One thing I love about the exterior design of the GR Corolla is the fact that it's very distinguishable from the regular Corolla. A lot of other vehicles out there don't really have, you know, that distinguishable look on the sort of sport edition. For example, a Ford Focus ST will just have the exhaust, a few things here and there. But this, on the other hand, definitely has a lot of distinguishing factors that will differentiate it from a regular Corolla. Like I mentioned before, you got the flared fenders, you got the fender vents here in the front, you got the wheels, you got the carbon fiber roof, you got the rear spoiler. I mean, and let's not forget, you got the 3 exhausts in the back, and then you got the hood vents. And you also have the massive opening on the front as well, the front bumper, to let all that air in. So ultimately, in terms of exterior design, I really enjoy the GR Corolla. This is a little bit different, where the interior is not going to show much difference between the regular Corolla or the GR, but you do have a few distinguishable differences, like, you know, you have some red stitching over here that comes with the Circuit Edition, I believe. And then you have the sport seats as well. The seats are well bolstered and quite comfortable. Cool little thing is that you have some red in the perforations, if you guys can see through the camera over here. And of course you have the GR badging on the headrest as well. In terms of the seating position and seating comfort, I basically tested this out for a little bit and it felt pretty nice. I mean, I've sat inside of the Ford Focus RS, which is a comparable competitor to this vehicle. And frankly speaking, the position and the seats felt extremely comfortable compared to the Ford Focus RS. The RS it felt tight, it felt high off the ground, whereas this is a little bit lower off the ground, and the seats are quite comfortable given the fact that they're so bolstered as well. I also love the fact that these seats also have some Alcantara, so it allows you to stick to the seat around heavy cornering or G-forces whenever you take this car to the track. So very nice. And then you also have a cool little thing, a little homage to old schoolness, is the fact that you have an actual physical handbrake. It's amazing. And of course, let's not forget the manual transmission. Super cool little Easter egg is when you open the door, you have this plaque showing the Circuit Edition and how it's limited to 1,500 units produced. So sitting inside of the GR Corolla Circuit Edition, we get to see a little bit of a different steering wheel. A nice 3-spoke steering wheel with some GR badging over here. You have all your functionalities on the steering wheel, including, you know, on a manual car, it's pretty nice to actually have cruise control with radar distance control as well. Of course, you have the digital cluster. The only thing that I have to say is that the digital cluster is not that impressive. It doesn't show much information. But the fact that it's digital allows you to have different types of information in there. But of course, like I said before, it doesn't have the flexibility of having sort of like a map in there and changing the different view modes, for example. So it's not like for example, in Audis, you can't really change the entire view or the entire look of the cluster itself. But on the other hand, it's based off of a very basic car. And you know, you just have the basic functionalities and information that you need. Something else that I like is the fact that I can't show you right now, but here in the middle it'll show you which gear you're in when you're driving, so that's a pretty cool feature. Here on the side you have some of your basic buttons, like your interior dimming lights, automatic high beams, your odometer trip, heated steering wheel, and then your rear defrost. This, the IMT button over there, is your rev matching feature. So I think it stands for intelligent manual transmission. So that's pretty cool. Allows you to rev match as you're downshifting while you're driving the car. Now this is the infotainment system from Toyota, their latest iteration, which is also very similar to the layout that Lexus has. Nothing too crazy. You have, you know, all your basic functions like your phone that brings you to Android Auto, your different music sources, Android Auto, getting back to the Toyota menu, your car functions like your trip information, and then, you know, your general settings as well. So pretty basic. One thing that I noticed is that you cannot have a split screen. I think that's also the case with some of the Lexus products with the infotainment system. So I wouldn't say it's that great, but definitely probably better than what it used to be. Another little cool Easter egg is the fact that you have GR located right here on the starter button or the ignition button, so that's pretty cool. And then you have your HVAC controls over here with your temperature knob, and then your different strength as well. Moving further below, you have a wireless charging pad over there. your heated seats for both sides in high and low. You don't have ventilated seats, unfortunately. You have your different drive modes over here. So if I were to change the drive modes, it'll show here Sport, Custom, Eco. It shows all your different drive modes also in the gauge cluster as well. The best thing of this car is the fact that you have this right here. A nice, beautiful 6-speed manual. I love the little Easter egg over here, badging. It's a nice little sort of like brushed aluminum badge that you have over there, showing GR Corolla, and it says Morizo. And the feel of the gear lever is very mechanical. It's not rubbery at all, like for example, like BMW's. I really love the way that this feels. You have a nice leather wrapped handbrake with the red stitching that comes with the Circuit Edition. And this is the other really cool thing, is the fact that you have your different drive modes, or the 4-wheel drive modes, that allows you to shift the power front wheel drive, or 50-50, or more rear wheel drive bias. So you have different biases that you can work with over here. That's really, really useful depending on the driving conditions that you're at. You have a couple cup holders and a nice little pad over there as well. You don't have a sunroof because you have that forged carbon roof on the top. Generally, I would say it's a comfortable area to be in. I definitely prefer this over, say for example, a Ford Focus RS. And then finally here on the doors, you have a little bit of storage space on the door cards. I would say big enough to fit a regular size 500 ml bottle. I was able to put a bottle in there, and then you can put some other stuff in there. So you have quite a bit of space in there. The middle, you don't have a middle compartment for storage, so you just have this little pad over there. And then you do have a glove box over here. Now in terms of rear seating, I would say that it's relatively tight. It's very similar to the regular Corolla. You do have a cup holder here on the door itself. And for any of you that are thinking of using this as a family car, guess what? The owner actually does use this as a family car and does have a child seat here in the rear. So that's very, very cool. At least you know that you can use this both for, you know, daily driving, family use, and track driving as well. So getting into the cargo area, you have a small button there at the bottom, and then you have not so much space, and I'll tell you guys why. Is because if you guys take a quick look over here on the side, there's a pretty large drop over there. I'd probably say about 10 to 12 inches. And reason being is because the GR Corolla has the battery in the back for better weight distribution. And that basically takes up quite a bit of extra space. I'll show you guys on the screen what the volume is on the GR Corolla, but you do have the possibility of folding the rear seats to have a little bit more space in the rear. So ultimately, aside from that, nothing too special. You do have this little cargo, privacy cargo area cover, which also allows you to remove it whenever necessary. So that's basically it when it comes to the cargo area. It is usable for a little hot hatch, but the unfortunate thing is the fact that they took up so much space because of the fact that they put the battery in the rear. I would say that that would be the main downside of that. Now we get into the heart of this little devil. That's what I call it. We have a 1.6 liter 3-cylinder engine under the hood of this. And believe it or not, guys, this 1.6 liter 3-cylinder, let me repeat that, 1.6 liter 3-cylinder engine pushes 300 horsepower and 273 pounds per foot of torque. I got to drive this a little bit. It's got a little bit of turbo lag, but I mean, it's pretty damn good for what it is. I'll show you guys also on the screen what the fuel efficiency numbers are for this. But given the fact that you have such a small engine with low displacement, 1.6 liters, you have quite a bit of power. And if I'm not wrong, guys, correct me if I'm wrong on this in the comments below. When the engine first came out, I think it was actually the most powerful engine for the displacement of 1.6 liters that ever came out. That's pretty impressive, to be honest. And even if it's not, it's still pretty damn impressive. Now, let's not forget, of course, Koenigsegg came out with their 3-cylinder engine as well for the Gemera. And that was also very impressive. I forgot what the numbers were on that. I think it was like something close to 600 horsepower. This coming out of Toyota for sort of like a little bit of a higher volume vehicle, very, very impressive. And I love the way that the engine feels as you're driving it and going through the actual gears as well. Very, very impressive little engine. All Alright guys, so I'm here in the GR Corolla, trying to get started with a little drive and show you guys what this car is all about. Of course, like I told you before, it is a manual car, and it's always a pleasure driving manual cars because at the end of the day, the manual is dying nowadays. Based on my previous short drives that I've had, the first thing that I can say is that I love the way that the gear shift feels. It feels very mechanical, and I would say that it doesn't feel as rubbery, for example, as a BMW. This is it like clunks right into place, and the clutch is not very firm, to be honest. I'd say that it's pretty soft, and the braking point is towards the top of the clutch. In terms of steering, it's pretty soft. I wouldn't say that it's very firm. It does have automatic rev matching, which is very, very convenient, especially when you're in traffic conditions. And I don't know if you guys had heard it there, but there's a little bit of a turbo blow off there, which is really, really cool. You get that sort of like racy feel coming out of a vehicle that is like straight out of the factory. So it feels very, very sporty. In terms of handling, it's quite compliant. In terms of suspension, I'd say it's not super rough. I don't know how this feels on the track. Let's try out the intelligent manual transmission. So very seamless, and right now you guys will see that wasn't me that did the rev matching, it was the car itself. So a very, very cool little feature that allows you to drive the car seamlessly in traffic and not have to worry about any sort of downshifting and rev matching if you're, let's say, in traffic conditions and you got all kinds of commotion going around you. Yeah, I definitely have to say that the steering feels quite light. It's more geared towards seated driving as opposed to some of its competition, like the N-Line from Hyundai, for example. I cannot give you guys much feedback in terms of how the all-wheel drive system feels because I never really took this car that hard to know how the different modes in terms of the torque split between the front and the rear feels under different harsh driving conditions. Now, I'm driving at, let's say, about 40 miles an hour right now. Of course, you're not going to be able to, tell that the difference between the torque split between front and rear. But ultimately, though, I'd say that it's a really comfortable car to drive. It feels planted down. Taking this car around corners relatively quickly feels like it's got some very good grip and control. So ultimately, compared to other vehicles that I've driven that were hot hatches, I'd say that this probably falls in the top for sure. Like I said before, I haven't really had too much of a opportunity to drive many different hot hatches, but compared to, let's say, the Ford Focus RS, this for me would be much, much better. It's a Toyota product. At the end of the day, it's going to be a little bit more reliable. Okay guys, so I have the owner of this GR Corolla who's had this car for just about 2 weeks, or a little bit over 2 weeks, and I want to give him a quick interview of how he feels towards the car. So thank you very much for allowing me to review this car. Really a pleasure. I've been wanting to actually take a look at this car in person and drive it. What made you want to actually get this car, first of all?
I'm a huge Toyota fan, so ever since I heard the news about it, I've wanted one ever since. So that's probably about a year and a half ago. Yeah, big fan of like hot hatches. The short wheelbase, the lightweight, it's really fun to drive around. So.
And you've taken this car, if I'm not wrong, on the track already, right?
Yeah. So in 2 weeks, I put about 1,300 miles on it. Get that 1,000-mile break-in, do that oil change, and had it on track. So.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
you said you like hot hatches. Did you have another hot hatch before this?
Yeah, I actually had a Velociter N that I tracked quite a bit, and before that, Mini Cooper Countryman S.
Nice.
GLA 45 AMG, and then also a BMW X2.
Wow, that's a nice little lineup of cars, especially that GLA 45. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's quite a beast. But because it is an AMG product, you're always worried about braking. So.
Of course, of course. How do you compare this Corolla in your short period of time that you've had it to some of the other hot hatches you've had?
I think it's an awesome Toyota product. They did a good job with it. It feels solid, planted in the corners, but it does have Toyota characteristics. So some nannies and a little bit softer. Makes it more usable daily, but if you're pushing out the full limit at the track, there are probably some upgrades needed.
Compared to the Veloster, would you say the Veloster would be a tighter feel as opposed to this, or how would you say it compares?
Yeah, the Veloster end, because it was co-developed by the boss at the M division of BMW, it does have that BMW feel to it. So it does feel tighter, sportier, and more raw.
Nice. Okay.
So on track, you get better feedback, and but you know, as a daily, it is a harsher ride.
Of course,
Yeah.
you have to give up something to get something else, right?
Trade-off,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
yes.
that's only normal.
Yeah.
If you'd be able to do it all over again, would you go back again and do and get this this GR Corolla? I know it's a short period of time,
Yeah.
but I mean, how do you feel so far in terms of the ownership experience?
Oh, I have other Lexus products, so I'm a huge Lexus Toyota fan. So if I had the chance, I would definitely buy it again.
Nice.
But as a track toy, it does leave me wanting more and wish they had done certain things better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know a little bit better
Yeah.
now. I mean, for you viewers out there, if you're looking for just a strict track weapon, this might not be it, based on what our gentleman over here is saying. It could be that if you guys are looking for something else, it could be that you're looking for something a little bit tighter. But nevertheless, it's still great that Toyota came out with this product, though.
Yeah, and one thing for the guys out there, there is a clutch coupling that overheats on track, but that's only when you're pushing it like near 100%. They haven't found a permanent solution for it yet, so that's just something for the track guys to watch out for. If you're just driving in the canyons in the streets, it never happens, so you don't have to worry about it.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
letting us
all right.
know. That's very good to know.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot for allowing us to get a little bit of an insight from an owner's perspective.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out.
All right.
Yeah.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick overview of the GR Corolla. I am so happy I got a chance to finally get an opportunity to drive this car and be behind the wheel of it. It's a highly sought after little hot hatch. Even giving you guys the interview with the owner gave you guys a better idea of what the ownership experience and what some of the things that can already start popping up in terms of issues with the vehicle. As always guys, thank you so much for your views and for the support. Make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more car content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, take care, bye bye.